Do you hear the winter birds? Hello, Internet. Here is a winter bird water puddle. Oh, it's a duck. No, it's not a duck. It's just a puddle. But do you hear the winter birds? The chirping of the early morning winter birds. Well, not that early in the morning, but early enough, within an hour or two of sunrise. And one of the nice things about winter birds, depending on where you live, of course, is the indications that they're giving. What indications are winter birds giving, you might be asking? Well, think about it. What do winter birds indicate? They indicate, sure, winter is here. However, the onset of spring is near. So maybe you're in the thick of winter. Maybe it's heavily snowing or sleeting or icy where you are. Whatever the case may be, whatever condition you might be in terms of your local weather. Or maybe you have a relatively mild winter. Maybe it's just raining a little or not at all. I don't know. But if you notice, the birds of winter, especially if you're in a place that has sort of classic winter weather, at least very cool weather with rain or colder and wetter or colder and snowier climates during the winter. You'll notice that the wintry weather birds typically make their noises at certain times of day and at certain conditions. Of course, it has to do with a wide variety of natural factors, even when they're in the city. You hear those winter birds? There'll be lots of them out today. They sure do like coming out after a good rain. Why is that, winter birds? Anybody want to guess? I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can Google it. Why do birds like to come out after the rain? For the same reason that snails and slugs like to come out after the rain, right? Get out from the wet ground, and the birds go feasting. That's certainly one of the reasons. Not the only reason. It's certainly one of them. Ducks sure like to swim around, splash around. What does all this have to do with anything that I think we talk about? Well, again, meandering thoughts that can lead to abstract concepts. That can be abstract concepts in themselves. And that can help you get energized and focused on certain ideas and messaging, certain other ideas, task-related ideas, process-related ideas. Just fun. Oh, wait, what? That is important too. You know, don't forget your roots. Fun is part of mine. Sometimes it may seem a distant memory to some. For me, fun was and is and probably always will be something I consider important. Obviously, not everything you do is necessarily fun, but that's part of life. So, why this meandering blog today? Well, what does it have to do with marketing or trading or other interesting stuff? Well, it's meandering because it just is. Also, to tell you to always make sure you stay on top of what you got to do. It's a good reminder to anyone. Try as much as you can. Not try. Do just as much as you can be on top of what you have to be on top of. Okay? Stay up to date with the things you gotta do. Because lagging usually leads to problems. Sometimes lagging can help when you're in part of a creative process. That is true. As the song goes, you can't hurry love, you also can't hurry art in a sense. I mean, you can, but it'll kind of be flashbang, out of the pan, not necessarily the most creative thing you might ever do, and the most stunning thing you might ever do. But sometimes you just need to do something, whether it's super creative or not. Like make a graphic before 5 o'clock because that's the deadline. You know, make a certain kind of image or video or whatever. Get a certain page done, doesn't matter, whatever the content is. And there's a lot of content that has to be made by certain deadlines. That's the very nature of having deadlines. Right? Gotta get things done by a certain time. That is also part of the marketing process. Making sure that your tasks and processes are on time. Because without that, well, you can really run into a world of trouble. That is for sure. And that's something we like to generally avoid. So, the general advice is, remain efficient and effective with your time management. It has to do with all tasks, not just when you are effectively marketing or trading. And again, I know, you may find it unusual. The person does both of those things, but it's not that unusual. There are, in fact, a lot of people who trade who are marketers. Most of them just trade using funny tools and they end up quitting it. Because most of them use lagging information. And that's usually not the way to go. Because, as I mentioned earlier in this video, lagging information tends to lead to problems. And the same is true in marketing as it is in trading. You're leading information as much as you can in your marketing, as well as in your trading. Well, on that note, I kind of feel I have to not give you necessarily some point of inspiration. However, to remind you of an actionable insight, which I've already given you in this very video, which I may give you again. And that is merely to remain on top of your game by being as prepared as you can be. Don't let inaction or idleness get the better of your mojo. Now it can happen. You can slip up a little here and there once in a while. It's kind of natural, kind of expected. But as much as possible, you're going to be on your game. For the very simple reason that you're a lot more likely to find success. And this may sound obvious. Sometimes you just need to hear the obvious thing. You know, it's like coaching or a psychologist. They kind of tell you the obvious things, right? Unless you've never heard them before. If you have heard them before, then, well, it may seem obvious, but sometimes even the obvious has to be repeated just to refresh the mind about something. Which brings me to marketing. One thing, it's like branding, right? Branding is a very essential part of marketing. Think about how much corporations spend on just branding. Like, it's throwaway money, literally. McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Apple. You know, why do they need to advertise when everybody knows their name? They do it to remind people that they exist, to remain deeply programmed into people's psyche, so that when you think of fast food, you think McDonald's, first and foremost. When you think of a soft drink, you think of Coca-Cola, first and foremost. And when you think of consumer electronics, like computers or smartwatches, or maybe soon these headgears that they've recently released, you know, Apple View thing, VR headset, that you think of them. But really, phones and watches and computers, right? That's their thing. They sell that more than anything, right? And same with Microsoft, right? The operating system for most people. So most people buy other kinds of computers from a million different brands, but the software they use is most likely Microsoft. But if you're going for brand affinity, then the brand that has the most affinity for certain types of loyalty users is in fact Apple. Right? They have all the fanboys, they have all the people who are willing to pay a premium to get whatever doodads Apple offers them. So, branding, a very important part of the marketing game. Just awareness branding. Forget effective action branding. Just branding for the sake of branding, right? Putting up billboards for the sake of putting up the billboard so it can be exposed to people and, you know, remain in their psyche. That's it's like burned money effectively, because you're not actually trying to sell anything with that. You just want to remain in people's minds. However, it is very powerful for the long game, for steady maintenance of growth over the long term. Anyway, so that said, happy marketing, folks, and happy.